Hey, welcome YouTubers. Today we're going to do two methods of run removal so you do not have to repaint. First one is going to be a little bit of filler. So we've got a little bit of runs and sags in this quarter panel on Miss Riley's Ghia. We're going to do the filler test first. So right here I'm applying a little bit of filler, and this is the fine filler, like for pinholes and stuff. You let that cure, set up, and primarily we're doing this on the bottom side of the run to create a bridge in order to not cut through the thinner paint. So we're working with 600 and 800 grit 3M wet dry paper and the hardest blocks that we can find. After getting that filler to cure, you're going to go ahead and you're going to start cutting. We're going to start with a 600 grit, and I have a custom made block that we have in house that I've made specifically for this purpose. So this is an aluminum plate that has been bonded to a DUROOL sanding block. So in this you do 600 and you keep it wet, and you will go through quite a bit of paper in this one. This dulls the paper severely. I generally don't like to use 600 except for this process. With the filler in there, that acts as a bridge to the weaker points. So once I get all of the filler out and off of the paint, we have a straight and smooth shiny paint job. Once again, this does take a little bit, but it is faster than repainting. This video has been sped up by about 5 to 6 times. So you're looking at about, between the two different processes, about an hour's worth of work for two different sags. Once again, if you have to put your car back in the booth after leveling these sags and cutting through the paint, it's going to take you way more time than that. So this is kind of a quick fix. We've done this video before, but we thought we'd do it again with a little bit of narration so I can kind of explain what I'm doing. Once again, I'm keeping the surface completely lubricated and removing all the residual filler. As you can see, it's starting to flatten down. Each one of those little nubs is a run. You can already start to see it come out. And all we're doing right here, folks, is we're just leveling this paint job out. If you really like our stuff, hit that like and subscribe button. We would really appreciate it. Also, kind of watch it till the end of it, because I've got a second process here without the filler on something that's not quite as severe as this. So you're going to have to wait to see that one. And here we're just cutting the run out. Make sure you get the right paper. I've got 600 and 800 in my bucket. The bucket has a little bit of Dawn soap in it, and it's been sitting for at least 2 hours with the paper in it. I actually prefer to soak my paper overnight, 24 hours. It tends to give it a little bit better life on the paper, and it completely hydrates it. After doing this for a few cars, I have noticed that if the paper's not completely hydrated, it typically will dull much faster. So you're going to go through a lot more paper. If you happen to hear any noise in the background, that's because our dogs are misbehaving. Right now they're taking naps, but you know how dogs are. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get it to fairly close. we're hitting this with the 800 and the aluminum block. It just knocks everything down nice and level. You want a fairly straight and shiny paint job. Just remember, scratches are shiny as shiny as scratches that you just can't see. Pardon my faux pas. You'll notice that I'm generally working from up to down. So at the 90-meter run, the weakest point of a run is going to be at the bottom shelf. If you stay on top of it instead of underneath it, you have less of a chance of cutting into the substrate. Keep it lubricated. Generally, I don't like to hit stuff with 800 or 600, but sometimes you have to. So we're going to go ahead and switch up to 1000 grit. And this is just to level it back out. Normally our cuts start at 1500, but with runs, you have to do a little bit extra. Just remember, the perfect paint job is one giant run/sag off the bottom of the car. Unfortunately, I didn't get that. Here we've almost got it leveled out. You'll notice on the left that we still have a little bit of filler over there. We're not going to touch that one yet. This is just to get this main sag out, as well as the sag in the upper quarter panel. And this is a 68 Karmann Ghia. Miss Riley is the owner. So keep it lubricated. I could do some rude comments here, but I won't. And you can notice the anatomy of the run where that center part is starting to stick up and the filler starting to go down, which means you're starting to level it. Here I'm using a 3M block, which has a little bit more flexibility than aluminum, but it's a very stiff block. Once again, you're going to have to change your paper quite often during this process, being that the filler will clog your paper and it will also dull the cutting or abrasion of that paper. Yes, sandpaper does get dull. Just keep working that. Keep working it. As long as you have filler up, you're good. Biggest thing you're trying to avoid is cutting through the clear all the way down to the base. A little bit 800, and you can still see there's a little bit left to do. We just keep working on that, working on it, and working on it. But I hope you're enjoying your Sunday videos. We really enjoy doing these how-tos or worky, no talky. So here, this is the second way to do it. So this is a much lighter run or sag. So we're going to start with 800 instead of 600, and there's no filler. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut around it. And if you notice, I'm going to cut into that ridge line. And the reason I do that is because when the buffer actually interacts with that ridge line, it's going to be doing a circular motion. So if we have an X cut, it tends to work a little bit better. If you try to do circles with getting this, you're going to end up with a lot of scratches that you're going to be chasing later on. I think we'll probably do a video on how to do polishing too. Look for that in the next couple of weeks. So you notice here with no filler, I'm actually coming in from the top side and working myself down. And I'm trying to stay off the low side of the sag. And you keep wiping it. So one of the tools that you guys can use is a nice LED light and that'll actually give you a better view of it. You can actually see the humps and valleys in a paint job with a good set of lights. You can still see a little bit right there. We need to cut that out. So we're going to go ahead and kick that up to about 1,000 grit. I'm using a very small block here because I want to control where that block is actually hitting and cutting the paint. And then we go over to a very flexible block by 3M for the last part of the cut. And it's still coming down and working from the top down on your run. Just remember, the master has failed more times than the apprentice has tried. But don't be afraid to try it, folks. So we're still seeing a little bit, and the reason I brought the light up is just to be able to see the shiny versus the dull. Now we're going over to the aluminum block, 1,000 grit, and we're going to cut down on it. Remember, keep your X patterns going. You're going to go through 5 or 6 microfiber towels on each one of these, and there's still a little bit of a sag there that we're going to go ahead and cut out. Believe where you're at 1,000 here, 1,000 grit, 3M wet dry paper. Once again, going into the body line ridge. There's a little bit left right there by the emblem. We'll catch that here. I'm using the aluminum block with 1,000 to go ahead and smooth the entire surface out. So once you've gotten a run out of your paint, you still have to level everything else from the surroundings so it looks right in the reflection. So there's still a little bit left. We're going to go ahead and hit that. Always use compressed air just to dry it off and make sure that you can see what you're looking at. The water will give you the illusion of a smooth job, but once you dry it off, and you can actually see where the scratches are. There you go, folks. We're going to go to 1,500. This is the 3M block, and it's fairly flexible, but it's a very stiff block. We're going to go up through the papers in this one, but with runs, I like to get them up to about 1,500 before we go to the next panel. We generally try to get all of our panels all the way through. So here, using an LED light, I'm checking it and making sure that my contours are right, my shapes are right. And we really appreciate you watching what we're doing. Thank you. Hit that like and subscribe button, folks.